There's the pass to Leitner. Puts it up. Yes! The time, 18. Shot, Jordan. Michael Jordan, 14 seconds. Brown. Look outside. This is the point where he always hits it. Oh! Aaron Harrison beyond belief.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of At Large Bid. As today, of course, it's Championship Monday. It's the championship game of the whole college basketball season as we have a showdown between Uconn and San Diego State. We're going to be breaking that game down for you guys. But before we get into this, do us a favor. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave us a review down below. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel down below and like this video. It really helps us out a ton. But without further ado, let's get right into it, Neil. So first thoughts on the game. I mean, just big matchup here. Big matchup. Unlikely matchup. I bet Uconn people had a Uconn somewhat, making a deep run. But San Diego State's very shocking, especially being in that bracket with Alabama and everything like that. So just first thoughts on who do you think really has the edge in this? Do you think anybody has an edge in terms of matchup? Because obviously UConn is the more talented team in this matchup. But do you think their play styles collide well, or do you think one team doesn't fit the other's play style or anything like that?
Yeah, so I think UConn has the edge here, obviously within the size. Inside, I think Adama Sanogo is going to be a problem. Like he has been all tournament. I think that's going to be the big matchup here versus San Diego State. San Diego State's kind of guard heavy, but they have some size as well. But I think just UConn's just got the size right now. I mean, you're looking down at their roster. They have Adama Sanogo, and then you saw the other big man go off over the weekend. So, I mean, they have the size there. So, I mean, then they also have great guard play. You're looking down. They have a center who's 7'2". That's a freshman who doesn't even play that much. So, I mean, Sanogo's 6'9". They have very big guards. Tristan Newton's at 6'6". Jordan Hawkins is at 6'5". So overall, I just think they have the size advantage and overall the more talented team. But then you go back and you look at San Diego State, and yes, San Diego State's had some good runs this season, but outside of that, it's guard heavy, obviously behind Lamont Butler, who's coming off a game winner. And then they have Matt Bradley, who's one of the top guards in college basketball. So right now, I think you're just looking down at this. Darion Trammell as well for San Diego State. I mean, you're looking down at this roster on paper, and you can just see that UConn has a clear size advantage in this one.
Yeah, they definitely have the size advantage, and I think that's definitely going to be key. Another thing that I wanted to mention, I do think, however, San Diego State's the deeper bench. I really do. I think San Diego State can play more players throw at UConn than UConn can throw out. UConn doesn't have a super deep bench. However, the star power on UConn, I feel like it's a big difference in this game, seriously. Because you got Jordan Hawkins, you got Sanogo, who are obviously would be the two best players on San Diego State. And then even you can make arguments for other players for UConn could be the best player on San Diego State.
Yeah, and that's a great thing to bring up because we talked about this on the last podcast heading into the Final Four weekend of who would be guys that needed to stand out over the weekend. Obviously, we talked about the UConn-Miami matchup, and in that matchup, a guy I threw out was Tristan Newton. Obviously, he only shot just 2 for 8 for 7 points, but you're looking down at his stats right now, 8 assists right there. So that was a huge, substantial, and a reason why UConn was able to be so successful was you look down and you see 8 of their 19 assists came from Tristan Newton. So when he gets going, he's able to facilitate, can get people going. And then Sonogo went 21 and 10 on 9 of 11 shooting. And then you're looking down, Jordan Hawkins had 13, and he didn't even have his best shooting night, which is crazy. He only shot 3 for 8 and with just 13 points. So overall, I think UConn just had a stronger showing versus Miami. I mean, Miami found themselves in some trouble early. I mean, when Wooga Poplar goes 0 for 7 from the field as your starting point guard, I think it's arguably one of the worst times to have one of your worst offensive performances of the season. So overall, I mean, I think if they get some production there from Poplar, I mean, like they have all season, I think this might be a little bit of a different outcome. I wouldn't expect it to be a 13-point blowout, but if they can get some production from him, I think it would be better. But Miami just did not shoot the ball well at all versus UConn. So I think if Miami shoots the ball a little bit better, that one might have been a little bit more of a game. But that was a Miami team who was coming in playing UConn in the Final Four, beating their opponents by nearly 18 points per game heading into that contest. So you knew the run was going to stop eventually, and UConn just became too much for them. So I think if UConn kind of plays like how they did on Saturday, I think San Diego State might be in some trouble tonight.
Yeah, I do too. I think if UConn, I think pretty much as long as UConn doesn't shoot themselves in the foot, they're winning this game. If UConn plays smart basketball, they don't get in foul trouble. Like you don't see Sonogo pick up 2 early fouls or Jordan Hawkins, I don't know, pick up some fouls or something fluky happens. I feel like UConn wins this game because they are the much more talented team. However, it's March. It is March, and San Diego State could easily come out here and whoop their ass, and I wouldn't be that surprised because it's March. Anything could happen. I don't think this game is by far going to be a blowout by any means. I think San Diego State's definitely going to fight. I think the way they play, no game's really going to be a blowout. They're going to be close. And yeah, I think they're going to be able to keep this game close and make it, within striking distance for them at all times, pretty much. But I just don't think they're going to be able to hit enough shots long in this game to win this game. I just don't think they're going to hit enough shots here.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you. And I think reasonably, I think that in order to win tonight, San Diego State just has to come out. If they play like how they played versus Florida Atlantic, where they kind of take care of the ball, obviously it was a 1-point game, but you can't let it come down to the end. But if they can come out hot, they can get some production from their guards. As you mentioned, if something happens with UConn, they get into that early foul trouble. I think we could see a fun time, but the over-under's kind of been moving on this one. It was at 130 a couple minutes ago, but now as I'm checking, as we're in this episode, it's now jumping to 133. So, Parker, let's get your predictions. What are you feeling on the score tonight, whether it is the over, the under? What do you think about this one tonight?
I think it's going to be under. You said 133.5?
132.5.
Okay, I'm going to go 67-60 UConn, so they don't cover the 7.5-point spread. I'm going to take UConn 67-60. I think San Diego State will make this game uglier than UConn wants it to be. They're going to make this game ugly. That's pretty much how they play. And I just don't think UConn's going to be able to, stop that as much. But they're just going to outplay them at their own game, in my opinion. And I think UConn wins an ugly one, 67-60.
Yeah, so I like that. I like that score. However, I'm going to go with 74-64 in favor of UConn.
You got the over on the spread, and you got UConn covering.
Yep. And the reason I say that is because you look down at some of these teams that San Diego State has played. They early in the season they lost to Arizona by 17, that was a good loss. But you're looking down at their roster, at the schedule right now for them. Here in the NCAA tournament, they've covered the spread just about every time, just about. And then on top of it, you're looking at the regular season. This isn't a team where it's going to go out and it's going to put 80 on your head every game. Obviously, they've had some rough stretches the San Diego State team has during this season. I mean, we gave a lot of trash talk to Tennessee and Auburn for that 46-43 blowout, but this is a San Diego State team that barely squeaked by Fresno State back on February 15th, 45-43. So we can't really criticize that Tennessee Auburn game anymore. Looking down and seeing one of the teams playing for a national championship scored just 45 in one game. So you never know what could happen, but I think tonight, in order for San Diego State to keep this thing going, they got to come out hot. They got to find ways to get Trammell going, Matt Bradley. I would love to see Lamont Butler to keep things going after a huge weekend, especially coming off a game winner. But overall, I just think, me personally, I think UConn's just too much for them on paper and probably will be too much for them on the court tonight. So that's why I'm going with the score of what I said. So that's why I'm going UConn's winning the national title tonight.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize something. I was saying UConn has 3 titles. They have 4 titles since 1999 right now. This would be
They'll
their
get
5th.
5 tonight if they win.
5 since 1999. They've been the best program, seriously, since the 21st century. If they win tonight, that's impressive.
Definitely.
They haven't been the most consistent. Like, obviously, Duke and Kentucky and Kansas have had more winning seasons, you know what I mean? Had better runs, but, like, the titles speak for itself. I mean, I guarantee you Coach Cal would swap out 4 Elite Eights for a national title. You kidding me? Hell yeah.
Yeah, I bet you he would too. I bet you he would.
Exactly. But this should be a good matchup tonight. It should be a really fun matchup. This is just a quick episode. We'll be here longer tomorrow to, go in depth about what happened in the championship game and everything like that. I hope you guys did all enjoy this episode of At Large Bid. I'm Parker Fields here, as always, with my co-host Neil Meyer, and we'll see you guys on the next one. See you guys.